What's up guys, Chris here from Wex, and I finally got my hands on the DJI OSMO Pocket Gimbal. In this video I'm going to be taking a close look at this thing, really to see if DJI have managed to make something that's not just a super compact and portable camera gimbal all in one system, but if they've made one that's actually any good. So let's take a closer look. The Osmo Pocket is, yes, you guessed it, a pocketable version of DJI's popular Osmo gimbal range. And this thing is tiny. It easily fits in the one hand and literally weighs just over half of my iPhone 8 Plus. At the top, we've got a camera mounted on a 3-axis gimbal, and on the body, we've got two physical buttons. We've got a multifunctional connection port and a 1-inch LCD touchscreen. All of these come together to give you some pretty impressive recording features. The most notable is being able to record 4K up to 60 frames per second, Full HD at up to 120 frames per second, and it can take 12 megapixel RAW photos. And they're all recorded to a single microSD card on the side of the body. So you've basically got 3 ways in which you can shoot with this thing. As soon as you get it, open that box up, whip a microSD card in there, and you can pretty much turn it on. You know, most things come with a bit of charge in there. Obviously don't go out on location for the first time and do that, because that'd just be ridiculous. You don't want to go there and then have like 20% battery. But anyway, within about 3 seconds time, it turns on, just this weird self-orientating gimbal thing like they all do, and then you're good to go. Now you can do all the headline features, you know, like 4K 60p video, slow motion video, time lapse and stills, all right from the gimbal itself. Now, because it's got such a small screen on there, the menu system is a condensed version of the full menu system that you get in the Mimo app, so you don't have all of the controls that you get with the app on the gimbal itself, which is why you kind of want to be using your smartphone. Now, out of the box, you get 2 connections. You get one for iPhone and you get one for Android, and they simply connect on this multifunctional port at the front, just slide into place, and then you've got your connector locked in. Then you can literally attach your phone and you are good to go. You just open the app on your phone and away you go. Now obviously one of the downsides having it connected this way is that my phone is now having to be physically connected to the gimbal, which isn't always what you want, especially if I want to film myself from afar, I want to check my focus and framing, I'm not going to be able to see it, you know what I mean? So the third way is you'd need to invest in the additional Wi-Fi module, connects to the bottom of the Pocket, and then you can wireless connect your phone to the gimbal. Right then, time to get out there into preferably some sunlight, some real air, and also to catch some stuff out and about with this little thing. Right, so I'm now in selfie mode. I am still using my smartphone attached to the Osmo Pocket, just because when you do that, that's the only way you can have all of the what they call pro controls. When I say pro, it basically just means that you can control your shutter speed and your ISO. It's not very pro, it's just controls, isn't it really? Without your smartphone, if I unplug it now, I'll still be able to keep these settings on the Osmo Pocket, but if I want to change anything, then I don't have that capability. I have to plug the smartphone in again, which is not ideal if you're, you know, out and about and the light is changing, you need to change things quickly. You can still adjust your focus, you can still do ActiveTrack and switch between the different functions. That's about it. Anyway, this is the internal microphone I'm using now. I have no way to monitor how it sounds because there's no headphone out. You can see that the audio meters are going up. So I'm just kind of hoping that it sounds alright really. One thing that I think this thing needs, and it is a phone mount, because when you're doing it in one hand, it is quite sketchy. I kind of almost feel like it's going to fall out, but so far so good, and you can see I'm walking on a field here, so it's not exactly the smoothest of terrains. Now, one thing that is good about using your smartphone with the Osmo Pocket is that you can check your focus so much more easily. That 1-inch LCD touchscreen, you know, it's good for checking sort of your framing, and also to make sure that you're active tracking the right subject. But if you want to check focus, it's just so small, it's so hard to see. I literally have to go like this, and then of course I'm this close and no one wants to see my face this close. So for selfie, vloggy type stuff, this seems to work. I kind of like it. Now I've already mentioned the audio and that, you know, there's no way of
monitoring what it is that you're actually recording. You know, you can see the audio levels there, but they're pretty useless if you can't hear it. But I have just discovered that if you play back your footage on your smartphone, then you can actually hear what the mic has picked up. Now that little mic, it's just on the front, I can see it, with a little dot there. It's not very windy today, so this is probably going to be quite forgiving, and it's probably going to sound much better than what it would do if it was really windy, because there is no protection to that mic. I can see there's not. So maybe DJI will bring out a little fluffy thing going on front of it if it's too windy, just to sort of reduce that wind noise. Now, in terms of playing back your footage on the Pocket itself, you can do that, but the Pocket doesn't have any built-in speaker. So if you don't have your smartphone and you're literally just taking the Pocket out to go out and about and film and shoot with it, you can never listen back to the audio that you've recorded, which is a bit of a shame. Now, of course, when the GoPro HERO7 came out, one of the nice things about it was it did some pretty decent audio, you know, for a GoPro. And a lot of people were looking at these as a vlogging camera. So I'm now recording on both of these. I'll hold them out in front of me, just walking. So the DJI Osmo Pocket is doing ActiveTrack, and the GoPro is just doing what the GoPro does. Now, all the audio hearing is on the DJI Osmo. Let's go this way. Osmo Pocket, and you've heard most of it up to now. Let's switch, and now what you're listening to is the audio on the GoPro. Now, I've not done anything to either of these audio tracks, straight from the camera. Now, I have no way of doing levels. I have no way what I'm shooting really on the GoPro. Let's switch back to the Osmo. Check 1, 2, this is the Osmo. How's it sounding? What do you think's better? You know, these are tiny little in-body microphones, so as long as they sound usable, that's the best you can really hope for without using an external mic. You know, if you were filming on like a, let's switch to the GoPro, as I was, you know, if you're filming on a mirrorless camera, you know, you would never really rely on that inbuilt microphone. It's something that we're sort of brought up to not do, let's say. Anyway, that gives you a good comparison of the two audio inputs. Switch back and finish off on the Pocket. I still love this camera, by the way, GoPro. These are very different tools. But yeah, I think the audio is really good. Battery life, you get 2 hours on the one charge for the DJI Osmo Pocket. Now, personally, I'd like a removable battery just so I can bring extra batteries if I'm going out for a long day on a shoot. And also because lithium-ion batteries tend to deplete over, you know, X amount of charges. That's not the case, this is fixed. Where the GoPro, at least you can change your battery. But, you know, it's all self-contained, charges fairly quickly, and you get 2 hours of runtime filming in 4K, 30 frames a second, so that's pretty good going. I can forgive DJI for that.
Whilst I've already mentioned GoPro, here's a side-by-side comparison of how the Osmo and the HERO7 compare when it comes to stabilization. And even though the GoPro uses electronic stabilization, it does fare pretty well. But to do so, it uses a slight cropping on the image, obviously, so it can stabilize it, and it has a very wide field of view, which is always going to help in the appearance of smoothness. But if we crop in 300% on both of the images, so you can really see what's going on, then the Osmo wins hands down. And I also think it retains a bit more detail than the GoPro's image. And of course, if you knock the Osmo into 4K 50 frames a second for that 2x slow motion look, then it's gonna look even smoother. The Osmo Pocket can also do a 4x slow motion effect in full HD, but be warned, there is a significant crop in and a loss in quality when you do so. But it's still nice to have that option. Let's test out the ActiveTrack a bit more.
Okay, so ActiveTrack is probably the most used function on DJI gimbals. It's very straightforward to use on this. On the smartphone, literally, if I just get it here, I draw on my face and we'll get this green box, and that's basically saying that it's going to follow my face. Wherever I go, the camera, gimbal, same thing, should move and follow me. So I'm going to slowly walk back. Let's see if it can track. Here we go. There we go. Questionable amount of headroom, but it's trying to, oh, it's struggling with this low angle. There you go. If I go down, look at that, gangster selfie. Oh no, it's got it now. Had a bit of a wobble at the start, but it's now locked on. If I go back. Too far for it? There we go. Back in again now. Now, if you had the Wi-Fi module, basically means that you don't have to have your smartphone connected to the gimbal. And of course, I could monitor all of this remotely in the palm of my hand, just to make sure that it is tracking. Watch this car go past now. Probably thinking, what is that guy doing? Doing a camera review, obviously. Jeez.
The Osmo can also take a panoramic image. Basically, it takes 4 pictures, moving the gimbal each time and stitches them together. And of course, it can do some time lapses. There's also a new mode called FPV, first person view, that keeps the gimbal's orientation the same as the operator's, so you can do some trippy Stanley Kubrick stuff. It is chucking it down now outside. Time getting back here pretty darn well. So anyway, to summarize, actually, you know, what I just did, that was more of a vlog than my normal type of video reviews. And I think that was because, I don't know, it feels like a natural vlogging camera. It's so easy to use, especially in the hand, to get really smooth shots and to frame yourself, and you've got loads of control. I actually really liked using it, a lot more than I thought I would, which I know I say in a lot of the videos now, but technology is coming on so much that a lot of the gear that you can get nowadays, they're all going to be good really. It's only minor differences. So I think one of the big questions that I've seen online in general would be, should I buy an Osmo Pocket over a GoPro HERO7 Black? You know, two are very similar price, they've got very similar specs, but I don't think that they are, you know, similar cameras. They're slightly different tools. I think if you are dead set on doing sort of, you know, your action sports, strapping this to your motorbike whilst you go out cruising, going skiing, you know, really putting it through its paces. That's a term that we used to use a lot on our Wex channel, rest in peace Matt Hicks. Then I would still stick with the GoPro HERO7. You know, these are built like a tank. You can really chuck these about. If you're not dead set on doing that and you're looking for something that you can, you know, carry around all the time, really just document daily life, vlogs, holidays and whatnot, then I think this is a much better, in my opinion, tool for that job. The image quality, I think, is superior. It's got more intelligent features, and at the end of the day, you have got a physical gimbal over electronic stabilization, which for me is always going to trump that. If I did buy this though, there would be 3 accessories that I would want to get to make it a workable solution for me. Number 1 would be the ND filter set. It's got a fixed f2 aperture, so you have no control over how your video looks when you're out and about without ND. Obviously in bright sunlight you're going to be shooting at super high shutter speeds, and you know, for me that's not a look I particularly like. Number 2 would be that audio adapter we've talked about, so I can plug in an external microphone. Even though the audio I have been impressed with, I've used it for the majority of this video, but you know, you still want something a bit more robust, especially if it's going to be windy out and about. And the last one would be the accessory mount. Currently there's no way to mount this to anything without the accessory mount. There's not a thread on there or whatnot. So with that accessory mount, it's rather cheekily the same sort of mount as the one for GoPro. So if you've got a GoPro already, the two can intertwine rather nicely. Also means that there's already a whole host of accessories that you'll be able to mount this to, because it's sort of riding off the back of all the accessories GoPro have made, which is great for the filmmaker, great for the end user. So yeah, those are sort of the things that I would want to make this a workable solution. There are loads of other accessories out there, you know, even a waterproof housing that I'd love to try, but this is all I've got for this video. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Tell me what you think. If you prefer the Osmo, you prefer the GoPro, you prefer neither, maybe they're not for you, tell me why. If you've got any questions, let me know, hit that subscribe button, and of course, I'll see you next time.